Today I'm going to show you how to do squaring at home, how to square a number. So I have some material with me that I know you don't have at home, but I'm going to use it to show you first, and then I'll show you how to do it on your own paper at home. So here I have the short bead chain of 4. And watch what happens when I pick it up and I move it. Look at what happened to my short bead chain of 4. It was a chain, and now I've bent it so that it's become a square. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 going across, and 1, 2, 3, 4 going down. 4 across and 4 down. It's the same across as it is down. Here is the square of 4, or 4 squared. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see that there is 4 across and 4 down. I also have with me the short chain of 5. Let's see if I can do the same thing with my short chain of 5. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 going across and 5 going down. And look, the square of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 going down. Here is the square of 5, or 5 squared. Now I'm going to show you how you can do this on paper at your house. I'll take my yellow pencil and I'll color in the squares. 1, 2, 3, 4 going across, and 1, 2, 3, 4 going down. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 across, 1, 2, 3, 4 down. But in order to complete my square, I need to do the rest of these beads too. So each of my squares is going to represent a bead. And I keep outlining these squares to fill up all of my 4 square. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I have a drawing of my 4 square. I can color this 4 square in on my paper. just like that. Now, I know that this square is equal to the short bead chain. And I can use my knowledge of the short bead chain and my knowledge of multiples to count by fours. Here, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8, 12, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 13, 14, 15, 16. I have 16 beads in this short chain of 4. And I remember that when I made this into a square, I found that these two were exactly the same. So I know that this square that I've drawn here on my paper must also equal 16. I can count to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And sure enough, this equals 16. Here's a closer look at what I've drawn and written. Now there's one more thing I want to show you with this before we move on to the other squares. And that is how I have 4 going one way, and I have 4 going a second way. On my bead square, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 going across, 1, 2, 3, 4 going down, 4 going one way, 4 going a second way. Well, there's a very special way that we can notate our squares, and that is by putting the number that goes across and down, 4, and then by putting a little tiny 2 up at the corner. That little tiny 2 means squared. It means that you go in 2 different directions. So this is 4 squared. It means that we have 4 going in 2 different directions. Isn't that cool? Okay, now let's see if we can do the same thing for our 5 square. Here I have my 5 square. It's this beautiful bright blue. And here I have a colored pencil that's close to that color. I'm going to give a little bit of space underneath my 4 square, and in fact I'm going to do a little border just to keep them separate. Nothing too extravagant, but just something simple like that. Okay, now I'm ready to start drawing my 5 square. Here is 1 bead. Remember, each square represents 1 bead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 going across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we also have 5 going down. Now we're going to include this one as we go down. So I already have my 1. Here's my second one, my second square, my 3rd square, 4th square, and 5. Now I'll count again just to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now that I have 5 going across and 5 going down, I can fill in the rest of these squares to represent my beads from my 5 square here. I bet you didn't know that you could make so much of this material at home. And it's not exactly the same, but it certainly can act the same way for us. Okay, so now I've filled in the rest of my 5 square, and I'm going to color in all of these squares that represent beads. And if you don't have this exact blue at home, that's okay. You can just find the closest blue that you have and use your imagination to pretend like it's the same. And you will know what it stands for. That's the most important part. Okay, I have my 5 square colored in, and now I can do my writing part. Now, think about our short chain of the 5s. We can use our knowledge of multiples of 5s to think about how much this 5 square is, what the quantity is. So we can count 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And remember that you can always count each individual bead if you'd like to do that. Just like on our paper, you could count each individual square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So the number of squares that we have here representing the square of 5 is the exact same as this short bead chain. And doesn't that make sense? Because we saw that if we wrap this bead chain around back and forth, that it is the same as our bead square. So I'll write my number here, the quantity of the bead square, which is 25. Now remember how we wrote 4 square here, 4 with the little 2. And remember how that 2 stood for 4 going this way once, and 4 going this way a second time, and then all of the rest in between. Well, we can do the same for 5. Here we have 5 going across, so 5 going one way. Here we have 5 going down, 5 going a second way. So this time I'm going to write 5 with a little 2 up in the corner. And that little 2 means that I have 5 going 2 different ways. 5 squared. We can say this like 5 squared. And 5 squared equals 25. Okay, I showed you how to do 4 squared, and I showed you how to do 5 squared. So now you can try and find out what 1 squared, 2 squared, 3 squared, 6 squared, 7 squared, 8 squared, 9 squared, and maybe even try 10 squared. See if you can fit it all on your paper. You may need 2 sheets of paper. And in this lesson, I've also included an attachment of the different bead chains, the short chains, and what color they are. So you can take a look at that if you've forgotten. But see if you can test your memory first. Do you remember what color each of those numbers are? I can't wait to see your finished work.